Now, some of you may be wondering, what's jail like? I've never been to jail. I've never known anyone who has been to jail. So I'm here to tell you what the Polish jail is like. So, first thing they took me there, I heard, what did I hear? I heard, don't afraid. I heard, don't afraid. I can't do it. I'm not even going to try to do any accents, but I don't know what I'm making fun of. But don't afraid. I heard don't afraid a lot, which just kind of makes you more afraid when people are telling you shouldn't be worried, because, you're kind of like not that worried, and then they tell you not to be worried, and wait, no, should I be worried? Anyway, so I heard that a lot. They made me take everything off, so I got to keep my underwear and my pants and my shirt and my socks. They emptied everything out of my pockets. They took my jacket, they took my watch, they took my glasses. They took the trash out of my pockets, and then they gave me like a pillow, which is really just kind of a pillowcase. They gave me a pillow and a scratchy blanket, and they put me in a cell. Luckily, I was alone. The bed, quote-unquote bed, was full of breadcrumbs, so I figured they would feed me at some point because the last inmate had made a mess everywhere. So I took hope in that, I would be fed. I didn't mention this earlier, right? So I hadn't eaten in about 24 hours because, I had dinner the previous day, and then we got up early to get on the bus to go from Budapest to Krakow. And so we just kind of had a couple snacks, but I really didn't have a proper meal between this time. So I went about more than 24 hours without eating, and I was hungry. I was just thinking about food, and I took hope in the sight of breadcrumbs that someone else had left on my bed. That's the kind of situation I was in. Oh, yeah. So other things they did to me. I had an anal cavity search. I'll not provide more information on that. Suffice to say, it happened. Anyway, I'm in a room. I've got nothing to do. They did give me 1.5 liters of water, and I was told that at some point the lights would turn off, and then he would turn the lights on for a few seconds every hour. And I thought, okay, great. This is a way I can tell the time, because I am very time sensitive. I always keep a watch. I always like to know what time it is. There was no clock in the room whatsoever. So I sat there in the cell waiting for the lights to turn off. Did some things to try and pass the time. I recently tried to learn how to juggle, and that was actually very helpful because I was able to take my 2 socks off and tie them in a ball and try to do a one-handed juggle with 2 of my balls. I also counted, not sort of consecutively, like not all together, but a few thousand at a time, and then I'd stop and take a nap or whatever. And I got to, I believe it was 6,847 was the number I was at when I was finally released. More details about the prison. There were, how many? 138 tiles on the floor, and there were 2 beds, so I was very happy that I was in there alone and there wasn't another cellmate with me. There was a cellmate in the door next door to me. It was a woman, and she was just screaming the whole time in Polish, so I had no idea if she was crazy or if she was just angry, or I don't know, but she was screaming the whole time. Kind of made it difficult to sleep or concentrate on doing my juggling. So at some point the lights turned off, and then I heard there were 2 or 3 times the lights flickered on back on for a few seconds. So I figured, all right, so if we assume the lights went off at midnight, then it might be 4 or 5 a.m. and so I asked to use the bathroom. I figured that way I could try and get the time right. So I asked to use the bathroom. The bathroom doesn't really, it's got a door, but the door doesn't latch or close really, so just anyone walking by can see you. And the toilet is kind of just like a metal bowl. So that was the situation. But I used the bathroom as an excuse to get the time. He told me it was 1 a.m. And I thought, oh, okay, so either there's a translation error, it's not 1 a.m., maybe 1 hour until the lights come on. Maybe that's what he meant. 1 in the morning. So maybe morning is when the lights come back on. Maybe there's 1 hour until that. Or, I thought, okay, or maybe the lights didn't turn off at midnight. Maybe the lights turned off at, 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. or something like that. And so that's where the time has gone, those 4 or 5 light switches. So then I went again, I think another 4 or 5 light switches. And this time I really had to go poop. So this was a genuine. The first time I kind of needed to go poop, but I chickened out because there was no door. But this time I decided to cross something off my bucket list. So I didn't have a bucket list, but now I've got a bucket list. It's got one item on it. That item is scratched off, and that item was to poop in prison. I don't recommend that other people adopt that bucket item list. Yeah, also the pun on bucket item, because the toilet's basically a bucket. Yeah, so I did that. No, I won't give you more details about that. I asked again the time. He said it was 3 a.m. And this is when I got concerned, because I realized he wasn't turning the lights on every hour. He was turning the lights on maybe every 20 minutes. So the time was going by much, much slower than I anticipated, and that was hard. Eventually, I'm getting ready to fall asleep, and the prison guard comes in, and I'm moving. So he takes me out of the cell, and I get really excited, right? Because I'm like, oh, my girlfriend came for me very early. That's amazing. And then he put me in another cell. And this time, I had a cellmate. Big dude. If I were to guess his height in centimeters, maybe 190, 195. I think in inches, that'd probably be about 6'2 to 6'4. He's a big dude. Weighed a good deal more than me. Solidly built, right? Big, thick neck. And I was just, I hope I don't get raped. I didn't get raped. Didn't get raped, spoiler alert. But this guy had clearly been there a long time, right? Because there were all these, like, crumpled paper bags on the floor and the table next to him. So I was just like, oh man, this guy, I hope he's not just, like, bored and looking for something to do. There wasn't any problems. That was good. Woke up in the morning, and he left. The guard took him out, and they took his blanket with him. So I was like, oh, okay. So maybe he's not coming back. They cleaned up his bags. They gave me food. So my first meal in Poland. This was my first night, also, by the way. My first night in Poland was in jail. My first meal in Poland was a butter sandwich. That's right. 2 pieces of bread and a slice, or not even a slice. 2 pieces of bread and butter in between them. Also, they gave me tea. Europeans are serious about your tea. I'm not a huge fan. I mean, tea's alright, but at least I'm thankful for that culture, because I got some tea in prison. Tea and a butter sandwich. That's right. I was able to fall asleep during the day, and I woke up, and this guy's back in my cell. Oh, okay, guess he wasn't gone. He tried to talk to me. Turns out he was Russian. He was trying to tell me why I was in the cell. I'll try and imitate him. He said something like, I think he was in Poland to ski, and he's Russian. He said something about, like, I hear a Russian cry, help, help. So I help. I go, bomb, bomb. And now this guy, and as he makes that sound, he's, like, touching his face, and it looks like he's, like, imitating the look of stitches. So as near as I could tell, I don't know, maybe some Russians out there can tell me what bomb, bomb means. But what I could tell was bomb, bomb is the sound of hitting someone. And so he beat some guy up and sent him to the hospital. And that's why he's in jail. That's the nearest I could figure out from his story, right? So he's a big dude. Later on, I figured out what he does for a living is he's actually a prison guard in Russia. So he's a Russian prison guard. He's got 12 sergeants under him, he said, and 60 prisoners. So I guess it was a good guy to spend the night with. But it was definitely a little intimidating that first night walking in and seeing this huge dude here. He went out for something, he came back and asked him the time, and he said it was, what did he say it was? He said it was 2 o'clock, which was quite scary for me because my girlfriend was supposed to be back around noon. So, like, between 11 and noon is when we had calculated that she would be back. So I was just kind of worried. Maybe something happened. Maybe she lost my passport. Or maybe she couldn't find it. Or maybe there was a storm. I have no contact with the outside world. So I was just kind of worried. And then another bit of time goes on. Felt like 2 hours. It probably was like 20 minutes. And at this time, the guard, he lets me out to go to the bathroom. And he tells me the time. And it's only 12:30. And then I'm like very relieved. Okay, it's 12:30. There's definitely time. And then a few minutes later, I get released from prison. There's more to that story. Like, they had my passport. They verified I wasn't a criminal, but they still took me back to the Polish guard in a cage, like a cage on wheels, basically. They fingerprinted me a bajillion times, got a mugshot. I really don't know what happened to me there because I don't speak much Polish, and they just kind of half translated into English. So that's my prison experience. If you have questions, comments, concerns, then leave them in a comment and I will respond back to the comment or make a new video or ignore you because I might do that too if I forget. Sorry. No. Okay, I might ignore you, but I probably won't. Probably not. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that story. If you want sort of more funny stories like that, or again, more details about this story, put something down in the comments, and I'll see what I can do.